The International Association for Near-Death Studies presents NDE Radio, a weekly exploration of near-death experiences and similar encounters with the other side. Now, here's your host, Lee Witting.
Welcome to NDE Radio, brought to you by IANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies. I'm your host, Lee Witting. Today's return guest, Dr. PMH Atwater, L.H.D., is both an experiencer and early pioneer in the study of NDEs and has published numerous books on her discoveries. She combines some 38 years of near-death research with what she was doing in the 60s and 70s, experiencing, experimenting with, and researching altered states of consciousness, mysticism, psychic phenomena, and the transformational process to reveal what transformations of consciousness really are, why we have them, and where they lead us. On top of that, PMH has a wonderful newsletter for the curious. She emails out free every month. And it was there I learned that this year's winter solstice is offering a rare event, a Christmas star formed from the conjunction of Jupiter, the planet of excess and expansion, with the planet Saturn, the planet of karma, duty, and discipline. And it's happening on the longest night of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, the winter solstice. 12/21/20. The last time Jupiter and Saturn conjoined so closely was during the High Middle Ages, the year 1226. Now, it just so happens 1226 is a year I've been involved with for decades because it's the year St. Francis of Assisi died, the patron saint of birds and animals. And the day of his death, October 3rd, St. Francis Day, is the day as hospital chaplain that I do a blessing of the pet therapy dogs, along with animal blessings that are given by Christian clergy everywhere. It's the one day animals get prayed for all over the world at a time when we've extinguished nearly 2/3 of the wild animals, birds, butterflies, and sea life on our planet. This Christmas star conjunction reminds us once again there are no coincidences, and there's more. In her newsletter, PMH writes, I've been sharing for some time now that the United States experiences a complete upheaval the years of 2020 through 2024, the biggest pressure in 2022. I've shared with you that the challenges we face as a nation threatens our very existence as a constitutional republic. That said, prepare yourself. There's more. The energies released December 21st will challenge the entire world. The winter solstice marks a turning point. No country, no economy, nobody's way of living can return to business as usual. And PMH adds, blame COVID-19 as the reset button. PMH Atwater, welcome back to NDE Radio.
Well, it sounds like you got it pretty well sewed up here.
Well,
except that I've been researching near-death states 43 years.
43 years.
Since 1978.
Oh, my gosh.
The year after I had my 3 near-death experiences.
Yes.
I had 3 in 3 months. You know, it's like boom, 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 boom. I call it the heavenly sledgehammer effect.
I'm glad you associate it with heaven because, my gosh, after the third one, I think I would be thinking other thoughts as well. I was fortunately limited to just one in my lifetime.
Well, lucky you.
But anyway, to get on with this Christmas star, does this Christmas star conjunction tell us something about future events?
Well, it tells us a lot. So among the things that it opens up for us is a new energy. So I will certainly alert everyone to December 21, but I will also tell everybody around 6 p.m. every night for these next 2 weeks, Jupiter and Saturn will appear to be a single star. And it will be very, very bright. So anyone anywhere can look up at the heavens and see what the Jupiter-Saturn star really looks like. Scientists think that this was the actual star that occurred when Jesus was born. Now that's going back now several thousand years.
Yes.
But we can be more specific and say certainly for the last 800 years, so back to the Middle Ages, and certainly St. Francis of Assisi, that time frame is when we can record it very specifically. But the supposition is it goes all the way back to the birth of Jesus. So we have something here that's very bright, that's very incredible energy, and we're feeling it now.
Now, is this good energy or bad energy? I mean, you've got two very different natures in those two planets.
It's a different kind of energy. And we're feeling it certainly with the coronavirus. We're feeling it certainly with the election. Biden is moving now into his presidency during this kind of signal, and moving right into what we can say is the Saturn return in our nation's chart. Now, when we're talking about returns, that's when a planet goes all around the wheel back to the point where it was when you were born. Now, Pluto has a very long orb, like 244, 245 years, something like that. So people never have a Pluto return, but countries can. And ours will and is. So we're going to be moving as a country into a very new kind of energy. And the signal is now. This is the signal right now. But I want to go a little bit further with the signal, because it's certainly anybody anywhere on Earth is going to be able to see this. You've got 2 weeks to look up above and see that star from 6 p.m. on to wherever you are, so that you can be very amazed at this and realize that it didn't have this brightness for at least 800 years. It's been 800 years since it's been this bright. So look at that and say, wow. We're back to the time of St. Francis of Assisi. We're back to 800 years ago. But I want to go even further into this, because when the last time that we had something like this occur, we had what is called a Carrington event. That's 1859. So we didn't have a true star of Jupiter Saturn, but we did have that kind of energy. And that occurred in 1859. And a Carrington event is a cosmic burst from the sun. It's a powerful magnetic storm. And what it did was, anybody who had a telegraph machine, or most people who did, it burned them up. It just exploded them. They burned up. So the thought is, should that happen again? Should we have another powerful magnetic storm? Then that could certainly affect our communications. We're now so dependent on the internet that if we were hit by that kind of cosmic burst from the sun, then the damage could be just astronomical.
Mm.
So we're hoping that the sun, it sort of comes down and doesn't hit us with a cosmic burst, but it certainly could. So we've got this this incredible event that is occurring, and it is occurring now. It's for 2 weeks. You can see at 6 p.m. every night. So you've got this occurring, and it's leading us into, how do I describe it? A kind of energy we have never had to put up with before.
Mm.
So from the time since we became the United States of America, we haven't seen any energy like this. And in fact, we're seeing even more than we had back when the United States of America became a country. So we're looking now, going a little bit on past this unusual event that's happening now and will increase for the next 2 weeks. And we're moving forward into what is called a Pluto return for our country. Now, a Pluto return happens, as I intimated, about once every 244 years or something like that. What it signifies is death of the old, birth of the new. What it signifies is anything that has ever been hidden will surface. Guess what's surfacing? Race, money, our health, everything like that is starting to surface.
Mm.
The fact that our country has been a constitutional republic, even that, is this what we really want? Or are we going to move into something, maybe an American version of socialism? Is this what we want? What are we going to do? We have that same length of time that Biden has of now and 2020, 2022, and moving into the next 4 years. So it's this new idea of our country and where we stand now in our country, and how we're going to change, because change we are.
So in other words, the cosmic effect of the conjunction coupled with the possible solar flares from the sun are one effect, but then for our country, and that would be affecting the whole world.
Right.
But for our particular country, the schedule of Pluto going, Pluto's return, just affects the United States and our governmental structure, and
that's
whether we're going to become actually catch up to Europe with national health care and some of the things that are being labeled socialism, or we could become little nation states like what was existing during St. Francis' time, where every little city in Italy was at war with the other little cities in Italy. I mean, it was a mess back then, politically speaking.
This is all up for grabs. It is all up for grabs.
Wow.
And when it becomes the most intense is 2022. So we're moving into a kind of energy, Lee, that absolutely demands that we change. That absolutely demands that we reevaluate everything. And when I say everything, I mean absolutely everything.
Mm.
Pluto leaves nothing uncovered. Pluto is the kind of energy. There's no such thing as middle. It's either high or low, but there's no middle. So we're going to be gung-ho, or we're going to be dragging our feet. But there's no middle. So this idea of how we get along is very much up for conversation.
Mm.
How are we going to do this? Because we can't do it the old way. And COVID-19 will make sure we don't do it the old way.
No.
You know, our stores, many of them have gone bankrupt. Our movie houses, many of them have gone bankrupt. Our wonderful restaurants, even the biggest of the big, are going bankrupt. How do we buy things now? We buy it on the internet. So it's going to take everything that we know of as a stable country and throw it up in the air.
So,
and I want to add to this that Jupiter and Saturn, right at the moment of the winter solstice. So we're talking about the 21st of December. So that's next week. They move into the sign of Aquarius. They leave the sign of Capricorn, where they've been for a while.
mm-hmm.
They're now going to move into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is those are the universalists. They're very much into humanitarianism, but it also can be a time of instability and crisis. So we're taking a look at the Aquarian generation, the Aquarian way of looking at life. No, it's not really the Aquarian generation per se. That doesn't occur until about 2025. So after we would get through all of this, after we get through this Plutonian energy, then we move right into the very first Aquarian generation.
Wow. That's the dawning of the age of Aquarius song is running through my head as you're speaking.
Well, that particular generation is 2025 through 2043. So that's when Aquarius first begins to step realistically into the earth plane. And that means globally. That's not just the United States. That means globally. And we have that kind of real change until about May 13 this coming year. And Saturn continues in Aquarius for until 23. But we have that power punch, that real glow, if you will, of this Saturn-Jupiter conjunction from now until May 13. So it's not going to be that star. That star is on the solstice.
Yes.
It's going to continue the pressure of those two planets who you couldn't ask for any planets that could be more different. I mean, Jupiter wants to start new things and joyously and expand. Well, Saturn says, "Oh no, you don't. You're gonna pay everything along the way. We're gonna limit you. We're gonna hold you back. We're going to make sure that you're practical and that you think things through. So you can have more divergent energy.
I was thinking of the two planets like Saturn being authoritarian, which has been what we've been going through for 4 years, and Biden being more progressively like Jupiter, expansive, willing to try new things, and
he's a humanitarian. He's more of a humanitarian.
Yeah. And the fact that the two of them are so close together, at least from our point of view right now, and so close together in this political battle that we're seeing going on, is more than coincidence, I think.
Well, Lee, just look at the energies that are how do I put it? The energies that are occurring now. Yes, we're getting a real dose of it right now, next week. Yeah, yes. But put that within the milieu of COVID-19 and all that has happened because of COVID-19. Is our world going to be the same? No way, no how. The whole world, not just the United States, the whole world is changing and turning around and going upside down. Everywhere. Everybody. And that's going to continue.
You know, there are elements that in society that would like to see the end times come on, like described in Revelation. And this is a big challenge. I mean, if we're going to save the Earth from the environmental destruction that we're doing to it, we gotta get on it right now.
Well, this is exactly that kind of energy that people could use to say this is indeed the end times. But they're missing the boat when they say that, because this is an Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy transforms. This is transformational energy that takes us from point by point by point, rule by rule by rule, and says, let's redo the system. Let's alter the system to a more humanitarian, universalist kind of energy. And we're going to be pulled into that energy whether we want it or not. It's going to take us from what we usually call a very religious viewpoint, and it's going to take us to a more spiritual viewpoint. It's going to challenge churches then, and prayers, and even your work, to take on a more spiritual point of view rather than a very hard, limited, focused point of view. So we're moving now into that kind of energy. Is it going to be easy? No way. Pluto, again, Pluto does not understand middle. They don't understand people learning how to get along together. Pluto says it's really brilliant or it's really awful. There's no middle. So that's our challenge.
You know, this would be a great time for NDEers who have not spoken about their experiences to start spreading the word, because it's such a healing element in our society when it's used the right way.
This is IN's time. This is the near-death time. This is the time for INs to come out and show and to show what happens with near-death experiences, and allow and encourage more and more near-death experiencers to talk. You know, that's what we're doing with our new programs, ISCO.
Yes.
Where we're enabling people anywhere on the globe to be able to pay a little bit of money, and then they can watch and listen to time after time after time people coming forward and saying, this is what happened to me, this is what I learned.
From a spiritual point of view, how do you relate astrology and spiritual ways of seeing things? Because, of course, a lot of the churches have sort of rejected astrology as being not part of God's plan, even though the Bible talks about his story being written in the stars.
Absolutely. The Bible certainly encourages us to look at the planets in the heavens. It does. I think where religion warns us is don't depend on astrology. Don't let astrology rule your life. Of course not. All astrology is a roadmap. That's all it is a roadmap. It shows where your interstates are, where your dirt roads are, where your rivers are, where your mountains are. That's all an astrological chart is. And so it seems to me like anybody going through life, it would be wise to have a roadmap with you. And that's all astrology is a roadmap.
That's a great way of thinking about it.
And that simply shows you the better roads to take and the better way to do things. It doesn't predict unless you let it predict. It shows what will work and what won't. The rest is up to you and what you do about it. So astrology to me is just a tool. That's all it is.
Now, when PMH, when you say that 2022 is going to be like the most intense period coming up,
right.
How do you see that playing itself out? Is it going to be physical violence? Is it going to be spiritual renewal? What do you think?
It could be all of that. It could be head-to-head with China. It's going to be big, whatever it is. And it's going to be important and serious. And whatever it is, whether it's positive, negative, it's going to be big because we are moving into the kind of energy that's going to transform our country utterly.
Wow.
So our country will not be the same in 2024 as it is now in 2020. And we can see that already, as I indicated before.
Yes.
We've already lost a lot of our businesses, our restaurants, so forth and so on.
Yeah, the economy's got to be completely rebuilt after this.
Around. And people are turning around. How we treat each other, what we do with each other. My son in Sacramento has taken all of his Christmas money that he was going to spend on everybody and has taken all of that money and giving it to the food bank. And then whenever he has extra time, he's going to the food bank to help them feed the poor or feed anybody who needs food.
Wow.
So this is a whole different way of people behaving that's all over our country.
Oh. Well, it usually takes some sort of major problem, either a personal problem or a social problem, for people to mature emotionally and to start doing the right thing. It really brings out the best in some of us when things go south.
hopefully it brings out the best. But this whole thing about
always.
Black Lives Matter, all lives matter.
Yes.
All of that. We're going to face it all.
Yes.
Like it or not, and make a decision.
Well, PMH, we have run out of time, sad to say. A half hour goes very fast.
Oh, it does.
But thank you for sharing your analysis of where we're at today and what may befall us in the next few years.
Well, hey, get out the door and at 6 p.m. each night. Look at it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And see this incredible sign.
Yes.
That is showing us our world, the United States of America, and our entire world. Everybody's lives are changing, whether you want them to change or not.
Exactly. Listen, folks, if you want to know more about PMH's books and what she's been doing all those 43 years, go to her website, pmhatwater.com, and
sign up for the newsletter.
Yes, and for sure, sign up for the newsletter. I learn something new every time it comes out. And if you'd like to listen to this show again or any of our past shows, just go to our website at nderadio.org. And to find out more about IANDS, please go to their website, iands.org.
Right. Yay for IANDS.
Yay for IANDS. And join us again.
I'm clapping.
Next Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern, for more NDE Radio. This is Lee Witting clapping for PMH and saying thanks for listening.